Before we can begin to unravel the book of Jeremiah, we need a bit of historical and literary background. The first lecture will begin to explore these rather complex topics. As noted in the introductory video, no one sat down and wrote the book of Jeremiah. In fact, we can't truly be sure of what comprises the book of Jeremiah, since we have different versions of it. Besides, are we to assume that Jeremiah wrote the whole book, even the prose narratives that refer to him in the third person? How about his utterances? Did he utter them, then write them down? Did he utter them from a prepared text? Did he have an embedded reporter recording his words as they were uttered? What we're going to have to grapple with in terms of the composition and compilation of the book of Jeremiah are some of the same issues that we encounter when examining other books of the Tanakh. Scholars studying the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, also struggle with issues of composition and compilation. We'll be looking at some of those same issues in this first session. We're also going to begin to look at some of the theological and historiographic background to the book of Jeremiah. Historiographic or historiography refers to the method of writing and interpreting history. History is not just the recording of events. History is making sense of those events, interpreting them, applying certain overarching principles to the understanding of those events. In the case of the Tanakh in general, and Jeremiah in particular, historiography and theology go hand in hand. History, as we'll see, is a piece of the revelation of God's presence in the world. Having said this, it is to be understood that the book of Jeremiah is deeply embedded in history. This is something that students often struggle with. Students who are accustomed to reading the Tanakh from a strictly religious or doctrinal position. I always say I hate to say this, but I have to say it. Jeremiah was not speaking to us. Like any great thinker, he certainly hoped that his words would gain a legacy for future generations. But it was not the primary role of the prophet to predict the future and to speak to future generations. The primary role was to speak to the people whom he encountered on the street corner, at the entrance to the temple, in the court of the king, where this prophet was often dragged to account for his subversive utterances. Jeremiah's people, the people of the kingdom of Judah in the late 7th and early 6th centuries BCE, faced a disastrous crisis, the onslaught of the Babylonian Empire, and what ended up being the total destruction of the kingdom of Judah, its royal city, Jerusalem, its temple, and the exile of much of its population to Babylonia. It is that crisis that Jeremiah feels helplessly compelled to address. If we want to understand the book of Jeremiah, we must keep that fact constantly in mind.